For millions of people, Italy is the holiday of a lifetime. A place you visit, take photos, promise yourself you'll come back, and then return to real life. But what if you never had to leave? What if that dream became your reality? This week, we met 7 extraordinary people who refused to settle for what if. One traded an office for a vineyard. Another one spends weekends dueling in a medieval armor. One fell so deeply in love in Italy, she married an Italian shepherd. And every single one of them left behind everything they knew for a chance at something completely different. This is a story of what happens when fantasy collides with reality, and whether that Italian dream is really worth the price. Hey there, Samantha here. Before we get back to today's video, I want to talk about something. If you've been following this channel, you already know we help people move to Italy. The visas, the paperwork, the practical side of making the dream happen. But over the years, I've realized something. That moving to Italy is never really about moving to Italy. It's about creating a life that feels more alive. And that's why I created Vivace. It's a completely free media network for women who know there's another chapter waiting for them. You'll find original shows, podcasts, a beautiful book club, inspiring stories of women who've reinvented their lives, and conversations that remind you what's possible, whether you ever move to Italy or not. It's waiting for you at vivacenetwork.com, also in the link in the description below. Now, let's get back to the video. Italy has a way of changing people. Sometimes it's the food, sometimes the pace of life. Sometimes it's something much deeper, because once Italy gets under your skin, letting go becomes almost impossible.
Hi, I'm Philippa.
I'm Mike.
I'm from London, England.
I'm from Tallahassee, Florida.
A couple of years ago, we moved from Washington, D.C. here to southern Tuscany.
Welcome to Casa Rampino. Americans have views about what it's like to live in Europe. It's all sort of idyllic. Everything is, a lot of people in America think everything is better in Europe. Everything is better in Europe. Don't buy into the cartoon version, more to what it's really like to live here and not just be able to say, oh, I'll call an Uber, oh, I'll call DoorDash, I'll go out and get food at midnight. There's all these things that we don't do here, and we're happy with this, but make sure you're ready for it.
So originally from London, worked as a journalist, BBC, and then moved over to the US when I was 27. Very easy place to live. Started in New York, Washington, D.C., had a family, swapped a husband for a house in Italy. I thought if I was told I could only ever have one more flight in my life, where would it be? And it was always Italy. And then Mike and I met, things changed and the house changed, and here we are.
When Philippa and I met, I had a son living at home, and her small house was too small for us. So I said, your house is a little small for us. And the next thing I knew, we're over here buying a larger house. So we bought Rampino, this house, in 2016. We've just completely changed our lives from 2 really hard-charging, hard-driven, working people to a couple who just lives out here in the country and loves every minute of it.
My youngest daughter, Maggie, she's 22. She's actually disabled, and she lives here with us. And she has definitely been a large part of the decision-making to move to Italy. Everybody here has always been wonderful with her. Ever since she was little, running into shops, stealing grapes and being cheeky, and I mean, she makes her presence is known, and people here are wonderful with her. So I always knew this was the community that she would be happiest in. There's a restaurant in the next town over First time I went in there, the guy who runs the place said, "Oh, you're Maggie's mum."
Welcome to our home.
Come on in for a house tour. So this is the kitchen, basically the heart of the home. Most of the time spent in here. In the winter, nestled over there by the little fire. And then at this table. The one unique thing that we brought here is the backsplash. These were rocks that we pulled out of the stream at our old house and came here and put them on. So this old stove has been here forever and works fantastically. And then we go into the living room. And then down into the bathroom. And then upstairs. Here's the wall of Italian holidays from the past with the kids when they were little. This is our multi-purpose spare room, guest room, office,
Home gym.
yoga. Then out here is a very lovely place to come and have morning coffee.
This is the upstairs living room.
And this is my pride and joy. And then this beautiful old marble sink came with the house, so I don't know where they got that. This is my daughter Maggie's bedroom. Finally, in the house, the main bedroom. This door here opens out. So even though we've come upstairs, come along the house, we now come out to ground level out the back of the house. This is the equivalent of the kitchen in summer. We spend all our time out here as much as possible. We have this fabulous shade from the grapes, and these are edible table grapes. Mother Nature is doing her thing, rotting it, but we kind of like it like that. So the closest estimate is that this is 300 years old, the house.
But nobody seems to know for sure, and that's okay.
Up here we have more olive trees, some of the younger ones, but we also have the best view. Looking out over the hill. Thanks for coming to visit. We'll see you soon.
Oh, I slammed it. I lost it.
Slam, get that.
Yeah, so this house is about the same size as our house in Washington, which is somewhere in the 2,000 square foot range. The house alone, this house would be 3 times more in the United States.
I will say there is one huge glaring difference between here and the US, which is health insurance for a family is the equivalent of a mortgage payment per month. And here you have a universal insurance, health free for Italians and residents. That is a massive difference. I would say before making the plunge, obviously do your pros and cons list. Don't procrastinate too much. Be impulsive. Do it. Get there. Find whatever that last thing is that you need to do and go.
History isn't something you visit here, it's something you live. While tourists line up for photographs, some people choose to become part of the story, quite literally.
Hi, my name is Luis.
And I'm Luce.
I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
I'm from Russia and also Argentina.
We moved here to Viterbo, this lovely city, 2 years ago.
Welcome to our home. We met in university.
We decided to move to Italy, not to Italy, to Europe, when we did our vacations like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the moment our head make a click. We tried to move once to Italy.
But
Try to marriage
try to marry, try to move
to Italy and to begin a new project, and the pandemic turned all down.
all the
We
three.
had to wait another 5 years or 4 years to move finally to Italy. Besides the food,
Beside the food.
we didn't know the food was so good in Italy. I think that was a beautiful extra. You in Italy have the old, you think about the Roman Empire, but there is something older than the Roman Italy. The Roman Empire is pretty new compared to other cultures. You go to Milano, some part of Firenze, they are modern, like huge cities. That's something, and that is history. Also, the food and the art. All together in a small country. For me, Italy is a small country compared to Argentina. Yes, it's totally easy to connect to people here.
Here,
Yes, if you talk 1 or 2 words in Italian, they will love you. They will help you, and they will love you because you are trying. If they say you are trying to learn actual Italian, they will help you, they will take you, they will adopt you. And I met some guys from called Figuranti de la Contessa Viterbo. It's like medieval times in the US. It's a franchise when you see a combat. It's not a real combat, but from long distance, it's beautiful. So
it's all theatrical.
it's theatrical, but
pero
real swords. Here in Viterbo, there is a thing, it's called La Máquina. It's a huge parade where we participate power like 5 tons. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
name is Joy. I'm from Connecticut, United States, and 13 years ago, I moved to Gradoli on Lago di Bolsena. Welcome.
For many people, buying an Italian vineyard sounds like the ultimate fantasy. But owning one, well, that's something entirely different.
I grew up in Connecticut. The push for me to move to Europe came, specifically to Italy, came from such an exhausting job in New York City. It's loud, it's crowded, it's expensive, and I'm in the rat race, essentially, which is where I never imagined to be. And the idea was just to kind of take a break, step back, and figure out what I wanted to do. And that's kind of how I ended up in Italy. And then I realized this is actually, you can actually live this life. It's not just like a vacation. So I stayed, yeah. I was working in New York City for a startup selling wine online. I realized that I was working in this industry and I'd never actually made wine before. So I said, okay, I want to go for a year to Italy, learn to make wine, or have an experience, at least get my hands dirty, and then I can say like, oh, now I actually know what I'm talking about, kind of. But I never left, of course. So I moved here 13 years ago to work for a winery. It's in the same town as where we are now. I think making friends can be difficult. Being in the countryside, trying to find people who can relate to my lifestyle is difficult, whether they're Italian or not. I've made some friends over the years, but none of them are right here in town. I met Simone, a man from Gradoli. He's a third-generation shepherd. The vineyards that I was working in were right next to his sheep. So he was always at his barn, singing on his tractor, showing off, yeah. And so eventually I was like, okay, who is this guy? Very talented singer, I always say. Give up sheep and go on X Factor or something. And we live here with our son, Theo. He's 8 years old. So it's the three of us. Parents moved here, I'd say 5 years or so after I moved here. They went into retirement and wanted to be near their kids. And actually my brother and my sister also live in Europe. So it was a no-brainer to come back here. Yeah, there's a reason why people retire in Italy. It's beautiful and the food's great. So I don't have anyone to miss really. My family's here. Of course, my friends are still back in the US, but they come to visit a lot. Ciao, welcome to my house. Come on in. So this is our farmhouse. About 10 years ago, we found this place relatively quickly. It's exactly how we found it. We've left it pretty much. It was made by an artist from Milan. This is her summer house, and she used to paint here. And after her, it was owned by a German couple, and it was their summer house. So technically it is kind of a summer house. It has that kind of feel to it, very open and airy. And we've just made it our permanent home. So it's a one open space, as you can see. We have our little living area to my left, and where we dine. We have a little bar over here in the living area. Our bird, Luigino, who flies around, lives over here too. We've got a lot of animals, both inside and out. So where we have dinner and where I like to do puzzles, that's my favorite downtime activity. So coming over here is our kitchen. I do a lot of the cooking. It's also how I kind of relax after a long day in the vines. And this is our main table where my son likes to do some of his homework. So the obvious thing that you can't miss is the beautiful view of Lago di Bolsena. which is one of the reasons we purchased this house. It's just we couldn't get over the view. I love to just sit out here in the morning and have a nice cappuccino when I have some time. It's getting hot now, so I gotta get into the vines, but it's my favorite way to relax in the morning. This was like an old farmhouse. It's just this little one, and we redid it and added on this other piece, and we used it as like a vacation rental. Yeah. This place also has the best view. Thanks for coming by. See you soon. Ciao. What I love about what I do on a day-to-day is that it changes very seasonally. So because it depends entirely on what's going on in the vineyards and what's going on in the cellar. But typically I'm up around 6 and get my son ready for school and get him off to school, and then I start working in the vineyards. I'll be in there either pruning or spring pruning or cutting grass up until September when we harvest, and then we are in the cellar for a couple months making the wine. So for this house, plus about 2 hectares that we purchased along with the house, we paid $375,000. So the house is 180 square meters between the 2 floors, plus 2 hectares, yeah. So we purchased all the land and the house as a business, as a farm. Obviously I do the famous forewarning about the bureaucracy, but that clearly didn't do anything to me. But if it's a woman, I just want them to know that they're gonna have a harder time than men. And that's just because it's always assumed that there's a man behind you doing all of the work, and you're just maybe sometimes not taking it seriously. And that's kind of just something you have to like stick hard to. Like, nope, it's me, it's my company, I'm doing this. And they definitely have credibility in you and believe in you, but the natural instinct is to be like, who is your boss, or where's your husband, or do you want to talk to your husband and let me know? You know, it's kind of a very, like, my opinion in the instance is secondary as a woman. So I think that's something you have to take into account. It's just culturally that way. If I were to move here again, you'd have to ask me when and what would I do. I think now, after been working on a farm for 13 years, would I do this exact thing? I don't know. I don't know if I could start it from zero at this age, because it's just a lot. It's a lot of bureaucracy for it to own a company. It's a lot of physical work, obviously. Like, it's just a lot, and it's not that profitable owning a farm. I don't think anywhere in the world right now is profitable being in agriculture. So if I were to do it again today, probably not this way. I don't know. Maybe I'd do something else. Would I rather deal with Italian bureaucracy or like be in the rat race in New York City with really crappy food? You know, like there's no, if I ever go back to the States, it's so hard for me to eat. It's so hard. Like my everyday food is just 1,000 times better than what is available in the US. I love having my son grow up here. That's really special.
Hello, I'm Mariët from Holland.
And I am Bruno from Holland.
And 20 years ago, we moved to this beautiful place, Bolsena.
Welcome!
Welcome. Met Bruno in Amsterdam. And it was a big party of a friend of his and a friend of mine. And the boat said, Mariët, we know a beautiful man for you. But I thought, oh, no, no, no. And then I came to the party. We saw each other, we talked a little bit, but I didn't know they mean him. So it was funny. People ask me, why does it feel like home? It's a good energy. It's feeling welcome. I really love this area, and I also love the way of doing. The people here are very friendly, and also what I really love is oggi è oggi e domani è domani. So today's today, and we don't worry about tomorrow, next week. We paid for this place, for the land and everything, 20,000 euros. And then you also must pay the notario after, and that's 5,000, something like that. Welcome to Bolsena. This is Piazza Matteotti, and it's the center of Bolsena. And also what's very interesting for a little town, we have a lot of beautiful movies here. We have a big cinema, and also new movies start here, so that's amazing. I really love to come. And this is the street with the most shops. So people can buy here everything they like to buy for a souvenir to take with them. We also go to Roberta, and she has an alimentari, and it's beautiful, beautiful to stay here with good wine, good food. My clients really love it, and I also really love it. So we go inside. Okay, thank you for visiting us. Bye.
The next time, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Good time. Vieni qui.
Bruno, vieni.
Handje, handje.
Met jou.
Dus filmen.
7 stories, 7 different paths. One shared belief that life isn't measured by what you own, but how you choose to live it. For these 7 people, the Italian countryside wasn't simply a change of address. It became a new beginning. The vineyards, the medieval traditions, the mountain villages, the family tables, even the quiet mornings and the community, the beauty. None of it came easily. But ask any one of them if they'd go back, you'd probably get the same answer. Not for anything.
Life is too short.
Like and subscribe for more stories on the way.